Bananas are fun. Welcome to Red Eye. It's like Jeopardy without all those questions. I'm here tonight with criminal defense attorney Remy Spencer. She's so hot, the blind mistake her for Palm Springs. Ha! Ron Chronicles, if insightful commentary were a basketball, he'd never stop dribbling. Bill Schultz in Brazil, he's considered a canoe. He seats 3. And sitting right next to me for the whole hour, none other than the Michigan Congressman, Thaddeus McCotter. He's as brilliant as I am brainless. So true. And our New York Times correspondent. Good to see you again, Pinch.
500 shows, Greg. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Should you apologize for apologizing? And should you apologize for that, too? Well, as President Obama ends his tour of places I cannot pronounce, some are calling the trip a salute to submission. Fox News strategic analyst Ralph Peters in the New York Post calls it Obama's Spring Apologies Tour and says, quote, on every stage, Obama draped Lady Liberty in sackcloth and ashes, drawing plentiful applause, but no serious economic or security cooperation in return. Meanwhile, in London, Obama did something oddly odd. He bowed to royalty. And this hasn't been lost on Iranian President Ahmadinejad, who says now he'll talk to America, but only if Obama is, quote, honest. Here's exclusive video of Ahmadinejad preparing for the meeting. Oh. He got so excited, he fell asleep. Hey, Congressman, are Peters and other critics right? Did Obama apologize too much and get nothing in return?
I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. When you're the President of the United States and you go overseas, your job is respected, not liked. I have an 11-year-old daughter. When my wife and I see her go out the door on that first date, we want her intent on being respected, not liked. And much like daughters and nations, if the first thing you want to be is liked, the end result is the same.
Excellent analogy. You know, now the Obama administration has agreed to European Union negotiations with Iran. The previous condition that Iran stop enriching uranium. Unwise, silly, unsilly.
It's very unwise and it's dangerous. You have to measure nations by their deed, not their words. And when this administration talks about having negotiations with Iran, the public likes it. Americans are fair-minded, generous people. But so were the British people in the 1930s. It didn't work out very well.
Yeah. Do you like my balloon?
It shows that you have to host a show.
Very good. Remy, try to ignore his insults. The thing is, Obama never really actually criticized, or said he was sorry, but his criticisms of the U.S. seemed apologetic. Isn't the simple truth that other nations view these gestures not as a sign of goodness, but as a sign of weakness?
Well, you know, Congressman is right that, you know, the president has to be portrayed as someone who is very strong and needs to be respected. And he didn't apologize, as you said. I think that, you know, what's important, I think what Obama is trying to do is show a major shift from the Bush administration. And I think that maybe he carried it a little too far on this trip, but he is showing someone who is going to be quite different over the next 4 years. Yeah,
but you know, it's interesting you mentioned that you bring up this shift, and I want to bring Ron into this. You know, people act like Bush never said anything nice in the last 8 years. I mean, Bush saying every year that we're not at war with Islam, but yet that didn't matter. Now all of a sudden Obama says that everything is now unicorns and roses and leprechauns and rainbows.
Why you should support this?
Yes.
Greg, I think there's maybe a slightly larger context here. I don't want to defend Obama, but I would look at the countries that he's going to and the things that he's saying. We're running out of time with Iraq, with Iran. We're running out of time. I think that talking with them is really just giving them a way to save face and to have an out if things go our way. What do we need to go our way? We need there not to be chaos in Iraq. We need the Union to put some pressure on Iran, and we need Russia to sort of back off its support of Iran. If all those things happen, then things will come away in Iran. If not, it's going to be a military issue. And I think the talking right now is just to show that we're trying that first.
Yeah, it's the thing you got to do before you do the thing you have to do.
Yeah.
Hey, that was
You
smart.
don't even know what that meant.
I don't either.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I was just peeking. So, you know, now it's all rolling.
Oh, no,
now
we got a couple
really
blocks
good.
left.
There's my little balloon. Where's my balloon? There you are.
Already
By the way,
to
Greg,
for
I'm
you.
so honored to be on your 500th show. I just can't tell you. I'm so honored. I'm not wearing pants. I'm so honored. I really am.
I've been honored the last 4 shows.
Yes, that's true. He's usually honored on my street.
Yeah, oh my God. Your
Congressman,
honoring explains the stain on the couch.
is this, thank you, Bill, is this bowing to royalty, is that really a big deal? I mean, you said it didn't get a lot of play in the press. Should it have? What did it mean? Was it a mistake?
Well, I think that a lot of times we can't be hypercritical of a president overseas. And so, as you pointed out with President Bush, we have to be fair to President Obama. He's trying to follow etiquette. If you go in with the Queen of England, there are so many things you have to do that as an Irish Catholic I wouldn't. But if I was President of the United States, I'd have to do it.
Yeah.
He has to try to do it, and then he gets heat if he doesn't.
Yeah.
And if he goes overseas, he gets heat when he does try to do the right things. So let's be fair about that. But back to what Ron was saying, come on. If you list the EU trying to save you with Iran, Russia not becoming Putin's revanchist Russia and helping you out there, and some type of miracle out of the Iranians, the reality is, if we look at the historical parallels, talking to a dictatorship is seen as a sign of weakness, and it gives them time to pursue their ultimate aims.
That is
and
true.
that is where we are at right
That's
now.
why I think we're going to be warming up bombers in the next year and a half. I really do.
You
but
don't have to do that.
You don't?
what is
should
the
we be doing?
alternative with Iran? What is the alternative?
If you look at where the president's greatest foreign policy problems have been, it was where he tried to be buddies with Putin. It is where he tried to be buddies with the communist Chinese. Those are the two nations that you need to find a way to get on board with making sure the Iranians don't get a nuclear weapon. You can do that and peacefully continue to surround them with democracies such as in Iraq, such as in Afghanistan. You can do what Reagan did with the Soviet Union and watch the free Iranian people demand their liberty. If you try to make this a military situation, what you will do by talking to them and appeasing them is you will be right at the one place you don't want to be, which is with those bombers.
That's bringing Russia on board, though. That's bringing Russia on board. That's what I see that as
And in that respect, wouldn't this trip be
That's gonna be
considered a
difficult.
success? Because he had a pretty good dialogue with Medvedev, if that's pronounced correctly, much more so than has been going on in a while.
No need to make fun of the Russian president.
I don't believe I was,
You
Greg.
made fun of his name.
No, I tried to pronounce it. Pronounce words. This is something that you should be embracing, sir.
All right, last word to Pinch. I bet you you thought the whole trip was a success, just like your lackey Bill.
Apologize and appease, Greg. It's a good thing. I apologize for Greg's rhetoric, and I will appease the audience by giving you a body full of paper cuts.
Oh, fantastic.
It is fantastic.
All right, shut up.
Lime juice.
From going to Turkey to being one, Barney Frank was giving a speech at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, which is part of DeVry, when a student asked him how much responsibility, if any, the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee felt for the global economic crap storm. Here's part of the exchange. I forgot to take that out of the machine. Hey, can we have the right one, please?
I'm still waiting for a very
And I'm
simple
waiting
answer
for
to your
I'm
question.
waiting for you to tell me what you think I should have done. I didn't say they were
You're
racist.
a public representative. I'm a student. I'm asking
Oh, so which
you
allows you to say
how-
things that you don't back up.
I'm asking. It does allow me to ask you a question. I'm waiting for you to
Okay.
explain
I've
how
given you
much,
the
if
answer.
any, responsibility do you
Right.
think you?
Well, I will take this. First of all, you are a student. Students are entitled to full constitutional freedom of speech under the First Amendment. You've made an accusation that is wholly inaccurate.
I didn't accuse you of anything. I'm asking how much responsibility,
Sure.
if any. If you can say none, that's fine.
At least he's not defensive. Frank went on to dismiss the question as a, quote, right-wing attack and challenged the student to tell him what else he might have done to prevent the crisis. They argued for a bit and later went to TCBY for frozen yogurt.
Really?
I love happy endings. Congressman, isn't it a fair question? How could Barney Frank have done in his position to prevent this problem? What's wrong with that question?
Well, look, I have some empathy for Chairman Frank. He's a very engaging person when you know him, and this is out of character for him. It's clearly a sensitive issue, and we've all had instances like that.
Oh,
But
somebody.
what I find fascinating, though, is that you can be accused of a right-wing attack at the Kennedy School of Government.
Yeah.
Does that mean he's a Menshevik?
I don't know. So, but I mean, you sound like you hang around with Barney Frank a lot. You guys play handball. You know,
No, again,
hike.
I don't go to the house gym. There are no ashtrays. We've had that discussion. But the reality is that it's clearly a sensitive issue because the Democrats are putting forth the theory that it's all deregulation, but regulated Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were as big a part of this problem as unregulated AIG.
Right.
And so for have the country in this big a mess, it took a bipartisan screw up. And I think that the sensitivity is something that does cause problems because people realize that he would not be sensitive about something he might not have been.
If you're a friend of his, can you